There is something I need you to hear before another hour passes, before you close your eyes tonight, carrying what you have been carrying, before you convince yourself one more time that what happened to you was simply a tragedy with no greater meaning. I need you to stop right where you are and receive this message, because it did not reach you by accident. Nothing about your life is an accident in my hands. You were hurt, you were betrayed. Someone, or perhaps more than one person, did something to you that changed the course of your life. They may have done it knowingly. They may have done it with a smile on their face. They may have lied about you, abandoned you, stolen from you, broken what you had, or turned people against you. And somewhere inside you, even if you have never said it out loud, you have been asking God why. Why did you allow this? Why did you not stop it? Why did I have to go through something that severe when I was faithful to you? I hear that question, and today I'm going to answer it. Not the way a well-meaning friend would answer it. Not with a platitude that sounds encouraging but leaves the wound untouched. I'm going to show you the full picture, the one you could not see from inside the pain, because what they did to you was not the end of your story. What they did to you was, in my hands, the beginning of it. You are my chosen one, and the chosen ones have always walked through the fire before they walked into the promised land. This is not punishment. This is not neglect. This is the specific, intentional, sovereign path I designed for someone whose assignment on this earth could not be fulfilled without the very thing that almost destroyed them. Stay with me, because by the time this message is finished, you will not be carrying what you walked in with. You will understand what I have been building inside you all along. Let me tell you what I see when I look at your life, not from where you are standing, but from where I stand. From your perspective, you experienced loss. You experienced injustice. You experienced a wound that did not heal quickly, and some days still aches in ways you cannot fully describe to another person. You may have even questioned your faith during that season. You may have said things to me in the dark that you were afraid to say in the light. And I received every one of those words, not with judgment, with the love of a father who understood that you were in pain and needed to speak. But here is what I saw while you were going through it. I saw preparation. I saw refinement. I saw the very circumstances that would one day give you the authority to stand in rooms you could not have entered any other way, speak to people you could not have reached any other way, and carry a testimony that would become the key that unlocks someone else's prison door. As it is written, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29:11. That verse was not spoken into a season of ease. It was spoken into exile, into captivity, into a season when God's people could not see how anything good could come from where they were. And yet, it did, just as it will for you. The first thing I want you to understand is this: I do not waste pain. Not one drop of what you went through has been discarded. I am the God who turned the valley of trouble into a door of hope. As it is written in Hosea 2:15, what looked like a closed door, what felt like the valley, was the very location of the opening you are about to walk through. And the second thing I want you to understand is that the people who hurt you, they were not in control of your destiny. They thought they were. They may have believed that what they did ended something, closed something, destroyed something. But they did not have access to the blueprint. They could see the surface of your life. I see the depth. And in the depth, I was already turning what they intended against you into the exact raw material your destiny required. Here is what most people never understand about betrayal. When you are hurt by someone, especially someone you trusted, the instinct is to locate the problem in that person, to assign the entire weight of what happened to their choice, their cruelty, their decision. And while it is true that people are responsible for what they do, the full story of your life does not begin and end with what they chose. There is a layer beneath that, a layer they could not touch, could not alter, and could not reach with anything they intended against you. That layer is my sovereign design for your life. But listen, this is the part that changes everything. I want to tell you about Joseph. You may know his name, but I want you to sit inside his story for a moment, not as a historical account, but as a mirror for what is happening in your own life. Joseph was the chosen one in his family. His brothers saw it, and they hated him for it. They did not hate him for something he had done wrong. They hated him for who I made him to be. And one day, the hatred that had been building in them came to a head. They threw him into a pit. They pulled him out of that pit only to sell him to strangers. They took his coat, the symbol of my calling on his life, and covered it in blood, and brought it back to his father and let that man grieve as though his son was dead. Do you see what that looks like from the outside? Abandoned, stripped of his identity, sold by the very people who should have protected him, carried away into a foreign land. And what happened next is what I need you to pay close attention to. As it is written, the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. Genesis 39:2. Even in the pit, even in the foreign house, even in the prison that came after, even then the Lord was with him. So it is with you. Every pit you have been placed in, I was already in it with you. Every foreign land you were carried into, spiritually, emotionally, relationally, I was walking with you through it. The enemy who took your coat of identity, the circumstances that stripped you of what you thought defined your future, the people who reported to others that your dreams were dead, none of that reached me with any authority. Because what belongs to you by my design cannot be permanently taken by those who operate outside of it. Joseph's brothers thought they ended his story in a pit in Dothan. They did not. They launched it. Every step of what happened to Joseph, the betrayal, the false accusation, the imprisonment, was the specific path that led him to the room where I elevated him to influence over an entire nation. And here is the part that the enemy never sees coming. The very pit they threw him into became the origin story of the rescue that saved the people who threw him there. What you call betrayal, I call positioning. What you call abandonment, I call the removal of what would have held you back. What you call the worst season of your life, I call the foundation of the greatest chapter. Stay with me. Now let me speak to the wound that is still open, because I know that understanding this intellectually does not always close the ache. You can know that God works all things for good and still feel the weight of what was taken from you. You can believe in my plan and still carry the grief of what the plan required. And I want you to know that grief does not disqualify you. It does not indicate weak faith. It indicates that you are human and that what was done to you was real. But I want to speak something into that wound today. Something more than a theological explanation, something that reaches the specific place inside you that still holds the memory, the moment, the face, the words, the silence that followed. I saw it. I saw every moment of it. I did not look away. I did not turn my face from you in your worst hour. As it is written, he has not despised or scorned the suffering of the afflicted one. He has not hidden his face from him, but has listened to his cry for help. Psalm 22:24. That was you. That verse was written about the moment you were in, and here is what I was doing in that moment. I was preserving you. I was making sure that what was in you, the purpose I placed in you before you were born, the assignment that was written on your life before your parents held you for the first time, I was making sure that none of that was destroyed by what was happening on the surface. They could reach your circumstances. They could not reach your calling. They could wound your emotions. They could not wound what I placed inside you before you entered this world. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are mine. And the people who did what they did not act outside of my awareness. They acted inside a story that I am still writing, a story that does not end with what they started. before we go deeper, I want to take a moment here, because what we are doing in this space matters deeply, teaching people to recognize God's voice, to not miss his signs, to stay alert to his presence. That is not something done quickly or carelessly. It takes time. It takes prayer. If these messages have been helping you hear him more clearly, I invite you to consider supporting this channel. The link is pinned in the first comment. Buy me a coffee. Completely voluntary. No pressure. But if God leads you to give, even the smallest amount, know that you are helping keep this message free for every person who desperately needs to hear it. I am grateful for you. You have been faithful. You have prayed. You have believed. And yet you're the same ceiling, the same walls, the same feeling that everyone around you is moving forward while you stay exactly where you were last year. That is not a lack of faith. That is a spiritual blockage. And there is a specific path out of it. The 7 steps of the chosen walks you through exactly how to shield your life, unlock what has been held back, and defeat the enemy that has been standing between you and what God promised in 21 days. The link is pinned in the first comment. Comment, I break through now, and begin. I want to take you now into the deeper layer of this message because there is something I need to reveal to you that goes beyond what happened and why it was allowed. I need to tell you about what was built inside you through the process. When you went through what you went through, you developed something. You may not have a name for it yet, but it is real, and it is something that people who never walked through what you walked through do not carry. You developed a depth, a discernment, an ability to recognize what is genuine versus what is performance, a sensitivity to other people's pain that came from having lived inside your own, a capacity for faith that only comes from the experience of needing it when nothing around you confirmed it. That is not a small thing. That is the interior architecture of a person who has been built for significant purpose. As it is written, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. Romans 5, 3-4. That progression is not poetry. It is a description of what was constructed inside you while you were enduring what you were enduring. The suffering was not random. It was building perseverance in you. The perseverance was not just endurance. It was forming character in you. And the character, that deep, tested, unperformable character, that is what produces the kind of hope that does not waver when circumstances try to shake it. You carry that now. It is in you. It was placed there through the specific fire you walked through. And here is what I need to say to you. I did not bring you this far to abandon you now. The work I started in you through the hard season, that work is not paused. That work is accelerating. What you have been waiting to see on the outside is the outworking of what has already been completed on the inside. Remember Joseph's full story, because I want you to see how it ended. The same brothers who threw him in the pit came to Egypt in their famine. They stood before a man of great authority and power, and they did not recognize him, not because he looked different, but because they could not comprehend that the person they tried to destroy had become the very hand that would save them. As it is written, his brothers said to him, "We are your slaves." But Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Genesis 50, 18-20. Do you see that? The people who intended his destruction became the people who needed his destiny. The pit that was supposed to end him became the origin of the platform he stood on, and when they stood before him, trembling, ashamed, expecting punishment, he did not respond with revenge. He responded with revelation. He said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. So it is with you. What they intended against you, the harm, the betrayal, the setback, the wound, God has been working all of it. Not around it, not despite it, through it, for good. For a purpose so large that when you finally stand fully in it, the things that were meant to define you as a victim will instead define you as a vessel. Stay with me, because what I am about to say connects all of it. There is a reason the chosen ones are targeted. And I want to make sure you understand this fully, because it will change how you see what happened to you, and it will change how you move forward from here. Purpose attracts opposition, not randomly, specifically. The enemy is not omniscient. He cannot read my blueprints with perfect clarity, but he can sense assignment. And when a person carries a significant assignment, there is something in the spiritual atmosphere that activates opposition in proportion to that significance. Joseph's brothers did not hate ordinary people in their community. They hated Joseph, the one with the dream. Haman did not target the general population of the Persian Empire. He targeted Mordecai, the one who would not bow. The enemy does not scatter his energy evenly. He concentrates it on those whose purpose, if fulfilled, would cause the most damage to his kingdom. You were targeted because of what is in you, not because of weakness, because of weight. The weight of what God placed on the inside of you attracted the opposition that tried to strip it away on the outside. And it failed. You are still here. You still have the dream. You still carry the calling. You still wake up in the morning with something inside you that has not been fully explained by any natural category. Something that tells you there is more. There is purpose. There is a reason you went through what you went through that has not yet been fully revealed. That something is my voice. It is the echo of what I spoke over you before you were formed in the womb. As it is written, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. That setting apart was not a metaphor. It was a specific, intentional act of my sovereign purpose. And it is still active, and it is still in force. And nothing that has been done to you has revoked it. What you call delay, I call preparation. The season you have been in. The one that felt like being overlooked, being held back, being misunderstood. That has not been a contradiction of your calling. It has been the completion of your formation. The things in you that still needed to be strengthened. The areas of character that needed another layer. The parts of your identity in me that needed to be established on something deeper than circumstances, so that when the season shifts, and it is shifting, what I built inside you will be able to carry what I am bringing to you. And here is what I want to say directly to the part of you that has been holding shame. Some of you went through what you went through and carried a private shame about it. Not because you did anything wrong, but because being betrayed, being hurt, being the one something was done to, there is a shame that attaches to vulnerability. A voice that says, if I were smarter, stronger, more spiritually discerning, this would not have happened to me. If I had heard God more clearly, I would have seen it coming. If I were truly chosen, this would not have been my story. I need to dismantle that voice today, completely. Joseph was not less spiritually discerning because he did not see the betrayal coming. He was more spiritually focused because he had been given a dream that required him to keep his eyes on me rather than on the danger around him. The vulnerability that made him a target was the same openness that made him capable of receiving the dream in the first place. And the betrayal that followed was not a sign of his failure. It was a sign that what he carried was significant enough to be attacked. Your vulnerability, your openness, your willingness to trust, those are not flaws. They are features of the kind of person I use. Hardened people do not receive what I need them to carry. Open people do. And yes, that openness has a cost. You felt the cost, but the capacity it represents is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to be honored. because it is the same capacity that will allow you to receive the fullness of what I am bringing you now. I see you in the silence. I hear you before you speak, and I want you to know the wound you have been carrying was never the end of your story. It was the price of the depth that your story required. Now let me speak to the people in your life who were the instruments of what happened to you. I'm not going to speak about them the way you might expect. I'm not going to tell you that they will be punished in the way human justice demands. What I'm going to tell you is something more powerful. They are not, and have never been, the final word over your life. Not one of them, no matter how powerful they seemed in the moment, no matter how permanent the damage appeared, no matter how many people they recruited against you or how many doors they helped close. They were characters in your story, but they were never the author. I am the author. As it is written, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. All things, not some things, not the easy things, all things, including what they did, including the darkest thing, including the thing you have never told anyone. All of it has been inside my jurisdiction, inside my story, inside my plan. And all of it has been, is being, and will be worked toward the good that belongs to you as one who is called according to my purpose. Their intention was not your destiny. My intention is, and what I intended for you before they ever entered your life, before the betrayal ever happened, before the wound was opened, that intention has not changed, not by 1 degree, not by one delayed promise, not by 1 year of waiting. My intention for you is still fully intact, still fully active, and still moving toward its fulfillment in your life. You have been praying the same prayer for years, and the answer has not come. That silence is one of the heaviest things a person can carry, but I need to tell you something. The problem is not that God is not hearing you. The problem may be that you have not yet learned to speak with the authority He already gave you. Chosen in action gives you 21 spiritual decrees, not generic prayers, but targeted declarations that shift the atmosphere of your life in less than 7 days. The link is pinned in the first comment. Comment, I decree it now, and let that be the first declaration of your new season. I want to speak now about what comes next, because this message is not only about healing the wound, it is about preparing you for the step that is directly in front of you. What I am bringing you into now requires a version of you that has been through what you have been through, not in spite of it, because of it. The authority in your voice comes from the places you survived, the compassion in your ministry, in your work, in your relationships, in your purpose. It has been shaped by the specific fire you walked through, the people I am sending you to help, the lives I am sending you to impact, the assignment I am walking you into. It requires the exact interior formation that your hard season produced. Let me say that again because I need you to hear it deeply. I am not sending you to impact the lives of people who have only had comfortable, untroubled seasons. I'm sending you to the people who have been in the pit, and the reason I can trust you with that assignment is that you have been in the pit. You know what it smells like. You know what it feels like when no one comes. You know what it takes to keep believing in the middle of the silence. That knowing is not a liability, it is your credential. And here is what I need you to do with what you now understand. I need you to stop explaining your past to yourself in the language of victimhood, not because what was done to you was not real. It was. But because the story of your life is not a story of what was done to you. It is a story of what was done inside you by a God who never let go of your hand in any of it. The framing changes everything. Not the facts, the framing, the interpretation, the identity you carry into the next chapter. You are not the person that was hurt and survived. You are the chosen one that was formed and is now ready. There is something I want to speak directly over your relationships right now. Because for some of you, The betrayal that wounded you most deeply did not come from a stranger. It came from someone close, a person you built trust with, a person who shared your table, your home, your heart, your future, or someone who was supposed to. And there is a specific kind of grief that comes from that kind of betrayal. A complicated grief, because alongside the wound, there is the memory of what was good. The confusion of holding both things at once. I see that complexity, and I'm not here to simplify it into a neat resolution that dismisses how real the loss was. What I want to speak over you is this. Your capacity for trust has not been permanently damaged. It has been recalibrated. You are not closed. You are not armored. You are discerning. There is a difference between someone who has been hurt and retreated from all connection and someone who has been hurt, walked through it with God, and emerged with a finer ability to recognize what is genuine and what is not. That is what you have been given. The recalibration of your trust is not a wound that keeps you isolated. It is a protection that keeps you positioned. And the relationships I am bringing you into in this new season, the ones that belong to where you are going, will not require you to override that discernment. They will be confirmed by it. As it is written, and Ruth said, "Entreat me not to leave you, or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God." Ruth 1:16. Naomi had lost her husband and her sons. She had told the people around her to call her Mara, bitter, because of what she had suffered. And yet, from inside her deepest grief, she did not see the covenant relationship standing right beside her. Ruth's loyalty was the announcement of her restoration, dressed in ordinary clothing. Do you see? The companionship of the new season often arrives before you are ready to receive it, wrapped in something that looks like just another faithful presence. So it is with you. Look around your life. The relationships that have remained, the connections that have survived, the voices that are still speaking life over you, even when you struggle to speak it over yourself. Those are not accidental. Those are my provision for the next chapter. I want to give you something tangible to carry out of this message. Not just an emotional experience that fades, but a perspective that restructures how you understand your story going forward. Here is the declaration I want you to make over your own life today. What was meant to harm me is now working for me. Not will work, not might work someday, is working right now in this moment. The very thing that your enemy intended to use to stop you, to shame you, to close your future, I have already repurposed it. It is already part of the mechanics of your ascent. Say that again, quietly to yourself. What was meant to harm me is now working for me. That is not denial. It is not optimism detached from reality. It is the declaration of a chosen one who understands the nature of the God they belong to. It is the declaration of Joseph standing before his brothers, fully elevated, fully free, fully grateful, saying with clarity, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. You know there is more provision, more opportunity, more financial ground that belongs to you, but something keeps the ceiling where it is." Chosen to win gives you 30 revelations that activate what God already placed in your life. Protection, money, and restoration that moves now. And the 7 steps of the chosen walks you through 21 days of removing the blockage and stepping into what was always yours. Both are pinned in the first comment. The level you know you belong on, these two will get you there. I want to close this message the way I opened it, with the full weight of what I need you to know before this day ends. You did not come to this video by accident. You did not start watching this and make it to this point by accident. There are people who opened this video and closed it in the first 30 seconds. You are not one of those people. You are the one who stayed. And I want you to understand what that means. It means this message was for you, specifically, not generally. The words you heard today, the ones that landed somewhere deeper than your mind, the ones that touched the specific place inside you that you have been protecting since the wound happened. Those were not coincidences of language. Those were the fingerprints of a God who knows you, who has always known you, and who arranged for this exact message to reach you at this exact moment in your life. This is not a coincidence. This is a conversation. And the conversation is this: what they did to you was part of my plan all along. Not because what they did was good, it was not. Not because their choice was my intention, it was not. But because nothing they did, nothing any human being has ever done, will ever do, or could ever do, has the authority to reach into my design for your life and alter it. What they intended as your ending, I have been shaping into your beginning. The silence you walked through was not God's absence. It was His most intimate instruction. You have not been forgotten. You have been prepared. And what is coming will make the waiting make sense. I want to give you one more revelation before I release you to move forward. And it is this: the depth you carry right now, the depth that was forged in the hard season, is going to become a gift to someone else. Not someday, sooner than you think. There is someone in your life, or someone you have not yet met, who is standing in the pit right now that you already climbed out of. And when you speak to them, not with theological theory, but with the voice of someone who has been where they are, something will shift in them that nothing else could touch. That is the final layer of what was happening in your story. It was never only about you. The chosen ones are always prepared through personal fire so that they can carry something for someone beyond themselves. Your healing is not only your inheritance, it is your assignment. Your story is not only your testimony, it is your ministry. What happened to you, walked through God, has been transformed into a weapon against everything the enemy tries to do to the next person who comes to you in need. As it is written, "Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God." 2 Corinthians 1:3-4. The comfort you have received, and you have received it even in the dark, even when you did not feel it fully. That comfort is now yours to give, and the giving of it will be one of the greatest experiences of purpose you have ever known. Here is what I want you to do right now. Drop a comment below right now and write, "What was meant to harm me is now working for me." That declaration is not performance. It is not empty words typed on a screen. It is the activation of the perspective shift that this message was designed to bring about in you. It is you agreeing with what I have been speaking over your life from the beginning, before the betrayal, through the betrayal, and now on the other side of it. Speak it out. Let it be the first word of your new chapter. And if this message reached you today, if something in you shifted, if something that was sitting heavy is sitting different now, share this with one person in your life who needs to hear it. You may not know exactly who they are, but I do. And when you share it, you may be the instrument I use to reach someone who has been waiting for this message without knowing it was coming. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so that every message like this one reaches you as soon as it is released. You are in a season where you cannot afford to miss what is coming. I am not done speaking to you, not even close. There is one more thing I want to place in your hands before you go, because understanding is powerful, but having the right tools to walk out what you now understand is how the revelation becomes reality. The 7 steps of the chosen gives you the complete 21-day path to shield your life, unlock what has been held back, and walk fully into the season that is opening in front of you right now. And Chosen to Win gives you 30 revelations that activate the financial, relational, and spiritual restoration that belongs to the chosen one you are. Both of those links are pinned in the first comment. Not because you owe anything, not because your faith depends on it, but because you deserve to walk into this next chapter with the full toolkit of someone who knows who they are. Get them. Comment what was meant to harm me is now working for me, and begin. You are chosen. And chosen people do not walk this path alone. I have never let you go. Not once. Not even in the silence, and I am not letting you go now.